The Bible is divided into the Old Testament and New Testament. The Old Testament is divided into 5 sections. Do you know the 5-12, 5-5-12? Have you heard that before? 5 books of the law, 12 books of history, 5 books of poetry, 5 books of major prophets, 12 books of minor prophets. So if you ever are reading the Old Testament, just think 5-12, 5-5-12. It really helps you understand the Old Testament. Now today, I'm looking in the minor prophets, the last section of the Old Testament, the 12. Why were the minor prophets called minor prophets? That sounds kind of bad to call these others major and these 12 minor. Because in the Jewish Bible, the 12 minor prophets were all written on one scroll. So that's why the Old Testament, according to the Jews, has only 22 books, because these 12 were shrunk to one book, the way they counted them. The major prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, were 5 different scrolls, but the 12 minor prophets were one scroll. Today we're looking at Habakkuk. He begins like I think a lot of people begin when they come home from work and they watch the evening news and they say, "O Lord, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear, even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not sing? Why dost thou show me iniquity?" He looks at his own society and he looks at it and says, my society has big problems. There's sin, there's violence. God, don't you see this? Why don't you do something? And today, many non-Christians come to us and they say, where is God? How can there be a God if there is so much suffering in the world? How can there be a God if there is so much sin? So I want you to see that Habakkuk is starting where we start. We look at our society, we see a problem, and in a sense, what we're asking is, God, are you great enough to change things? Are you good enough to change things? If God is weak, well, then he just sits back and watches the mess with us. If God is bad, well, then he wants all of these problems to continue. But we ask the question, God, are you great and are you good? Now, we as Christians, this morning I emphasized it, in the past I've emphasized it, our goal is to get to know God. The problem getting to know someone, whether God or someone else, there's always an element of surprise. Can you believe that? I think we make the mistake. We meet someone, hi, how are you? Oh, where are you from? You're from Singapore. You must fit into this box. That's not fair. That's not fair. Some of you have been to Singapore. Singapore people do not fit into a box. So you have to ask the person questions and let him answer how he wants to. I don't like it when I answer and people say, no, you're wrong. I'm answering about myself. How can I be wrong? I'm just answering you. Do you want to get to know me, or do you want me to fit into this box? But a lot of people, when they pray, when they get to know God, they put God in a box, and then when he doesn't act the way the box is supposed to act, they get angry. Wait, no, God, you're supposed to be doing this. Wait, no. Don't say I'm supposed to. Your job is to find out what I'm like. And so Habakkuk here has a struggle. In 3 short chapters, he struggles because he finds that God is surprising in a way that Habakkuk does not like. Well, let's keep reading. He says, look at verses 2, 3, and 4. Look, this is a mess. This is a mess. God, what are you going to do about this? Are you great? Are you good? So verse 5, God answers. Now, when God speaks, we need to listen. Again and again, when I talk to other people, I find out they're not listening. And I say things, and they, in Taiwan, this happens to me all the time. They say, how did you come to Taiwan? I say, I was born here. So then they say, when did you come here? Well, just look at me. And then A minute later, they say, so how did you come here? I told you I was born here. They're not listening. They just assume I came by some airplane. No, back then, we didn't fly. You came by boat, but I didn't come by boat. I came by my mother. So, verse 5. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard, and wonder marvelously. God says, I will work a work in your day, which you will not believe, even though we told you. See, this is God's problem. He does things. He does things. He is open. He is honest, and we don't believe him. No, God, that isn't true. No, this is what I did. And we say, no, God, it can't be that way. You have to fit into this box. And God says, no, get to know me. I will be a surprise. Do you like surprises? Why do we want every person just to be the same? I met one person from Singapore. I've met every person from Singapore. I met one person from Malaysia. I've met every person from Malaysia. I met one person in the UK. I've met every. You know that's not true. So why don't we, when we meet people, we let them tell us what they want to about themselves? Why don't we, when we meet God, we let him tell us what he wants to about himself? And God says, verse 6, I will raise up the Chaldeans. Now notice, God knows what they're like. God is not ignorant. That bitter and hasty nation. And these people are going to march through the breadth of the land to possess dwelling places that are not theirs. They're going to invade. God says it more politely. No, they're going to invade. They're going to invade. Wait. Did I hear you correctly? God, aren't you good? Yes, I can believe that you're great. You have the power to raise up this nation, that powerful nation, and you can make them go across the land and attack another. Yes, okay, I believe that you're great. But God, are you good? Is that what a good God does? To raise up a nation, an evil nation, and go and attack people. And Habakkuk has trouble. Wait, God, I don't understand. When you talk to people, do you let them finish their paragraph or do you interrupt? I find that when you don't let someone finish his paragraph, you miss a lot of important information. If you interrupt and then you say something, then he said, that's what I was just going to say. Oh, maybe I should just be quiet and listen. In communication, half of communication is what? Listening. But a lot of people think that communication is just when they're talking. And a lot of people think that communicating with God is when I'm praying. That's communication. No, you also have to let God speak. And to hear someone talk, guess what you have to do? You have to be quiet. And so as we read the Bible, we have to be quiet. And don't write our own Bible. We have to find out what actually is there. Now, this is surprising. Why is God raising up an evil country to come and attack Judah? Now, I don't know about you. Do you want another country to come and attack your country? I think all of us would say no. But also there's something about the Chaldeans that really bothers Habakkuk. In the first few verses, Habakkuk is saying, we are sinful. But the Chaldeans are more sinful. And so Habakkuk is struggling. Why would you raise up a more wicked nation to attack a less wicked nation? So Habakkuk is struggling. I don't understand God. Now remember, God is greater than we are. If we don't understand God, that's normal. But a lot of people try to tell me, no, I understand God. No. You don't understand him. He will surprise you. You have to get to know him and be ready to find out what he's like. And verse 7, this is what God is saying. They are terrible and dreadful Verse 8, their horses are swifter, their leopards are more fierce than evening wolves. Okay, God knows these are wicked Babylonians. God knows they are wicked. God is not surprised. And Habakkuk is saying, but you know what you're doing? How can you do this? Now, I work in churches, and Christian people say to me, how can God do this? Have you heard that before? How can God do this? If I had £1 for every time I heard that, how can God do this? People are surprised, and surprised is the polite word. They're really critical of God, and maybe even angry with God. Now, I want to bring you into this story. This is not a short story. It's only 3 chapters, yes, but I hope you see there's a process. He's working through this, and we come to a good conclusion. But in the beginning, there's this dissonance. There's this struggle. Verse 9, they shall come all for violence. Does God know what he's doing? He knows what he's doing. Their faces shall sup up as the east wind. They shall gather the captivity as the sand. They shall scoff at the kings, and the princes shall be a scorn unto them. They shall deride every stronghold, for they shall heap dust and take it. Okay. This is really, really strong. These people are very, very bad. And so verse 12, Habakkuk asks God, wait. Are you not from everlasting, my Holy One? Okay, God, you've ordained them for judgment. You've established them for correction. But verse 13, you're of purer eyes than to behold evil. God, this doesn't make sense to me. How can you raise up an evil nation? If you have a class of students, and there's the class bully, and then there's you, and the teacher says, you did wrong, I'm going to have the class bully take the ruler and slap your hand. Wait, okay, I admit I did wrong, but the class bully? He does wrong things all the time, and you never punish him, and then you let him punish me? There's injustice. And Habakkuk is struggling. God, okay, I admit you're great. Yes, you are more powerful than everything you can raise up. But are you good? I want to believe in a good God. And he's struggling, and he's responding to God. Notice how Habakkuk has a conversation with God. First he speaks, then God speaks. Now Habakkuk is speaking again. Okay, verse 14. You make men as the fishes of the sea. Yeah, you're great. Verse 15. They take up all of them at the angle. They catch them in their net. They have them. Yes, these wicked people do all this stuff. Yes. But God, how can you do that? Now, Habakkuk does not give up on God. What some Christians do is they just get mad at God and they walk away. Habakkuk says, I'm going to wait. Chapter 2, verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say to me, and what I shall answer when I'm reproved. Okay, I'm going to wait and see what God says. I complained about my society. God said, I'll solve it. I'm going to raise up these wicked people and destroy your society. That's not what I wanted to hear. And then Habakkuk says, wait, aren't you more holy than this? Okay, let me give God a chance. I'm going to wait and listen to what he says. Now, we know with communication, we love to criticize other people. You're wrong. And then we turn and walk away. And the other person says, aren't you going to let me respond to that? Do you even know what I was doing? Do you even have the facts straight? Don't you ever let me say something? But Habakkuk says to God, all right, I'll be quiet, and I will listen to what you have to say. Verse 2, and the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And then verse 4, which is so very remarkable. It's in this book, and it's quoted in the New Testament. It's quoted in Romans 1:17, and Galatians 3:11, and Hebrews 10:37 and 38. A lot of modern Christians have never read it in Habakkuk, and it's quoted 3 times in the New Testament. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Now, I could just stop right there and talk about this one verse. I will not, but I want to emphasize this is a verse for you to think about. The righteous person does not live by his righteousness. That's what we want to believe. Do you know what I did 10 years ago? Do you know what I did 9 years ago? I bet you don't know what I did 8 years ago. Do you know what I did last week? Guess what I did yesterday? I'm a righteous person. And I'm going to make a list. I want you to see that. But in the Old Testament, it says it. And in the New Testament, it says it. The same thing. No. Even the righteous person doesn't live by his righteousness. The righteous person lives by his faith. God speaks. I accept what he says. That is faith. Faith is not, well, I'm just going to decide something. God better do it. That isn't faith. Faith is not, before God speaks, I'll just believe it. No, that's not faith. Faith is God speaks, and I listen, and I grab it. Those of you who know Chinese, what is the Chinese character for faith? Xin. It is a person and words, right? If there are no words, you can't have faith. If somebody has not said anything, how do you believe what he said? You have to listen to what he says. You accept it. That's faith. So I don't believe that faith is, well, I just have this feeling. No, guess what you have? You have a feeling. What is faith? God said it. I accept it. So Habakkuk, what you have to do is live not by your feelings. You're allowed to have whatever feelings you have, but you don't live by your feelings. You live by faith. I like to travel. I like to hike. I like to go lots of places. But I have to be careful because I can stumble. I need light on my path. And I get lost sometimes. I like to travel by my eyes. Where do I stand? Where do I go? Where's the sign? Let me go here. And we as Christians, we want to live by sight. If it looks good, I'll go in. If there's money there, I'll go that direction. If I can see it, I'll do it. And God says, no, you don't live by your eyes. You live by your ears. Now that scares me to death. If you cover up my eyes, and then say, you go out this door, go down, go out on the street, and if you told me, I'll stand right beside you and tell you where to go, I would be scared. No, I don't want to go where you tell me to go. I don't want to. Let me take that off. I will look and I will go. Now, I'm glad none of you has made me do that. But God makes me do that every day. No, you will not see. You will not see. You will not see the path ahead of you. I will tell you. No, I want to see. I want to see it. No, you just do what's right. But what if? Don't ask that question. Don't ask what if. But I'm afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I've said it. You live by faith. Faith is with the ears, not with the eyes. Now, verse 5, he starts talking about these Chaldeans. Okay. Habakkuk is upset. And God says, all right, let me comfort you. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Okay, God is talking about these bad people. He's talking about these bad people. And he goes down to verse 6. Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. Okay, if you take what is not yours, what are you taking? What are you doing? You're stealing, right? Stealing. So God says, woe to the one who steals. Verse 9. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. He's taking what he wants from other people. He's exploiting them. Number 2, right? Verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth the town with blood. Okay, this is somebody who's violent. Verse 12. Okay, let's keep going to verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, and puttest thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. You go make him drunk, and then look at him with no clothes on. How shameful. And then, verse 19, woe unto him that saith to the wood, awake, to the dumb stone, arise, it shall teach. It's idolatry. Babylon is a thief, exploitative, violent, making people drunk, and idolatrous. And God 5 times says, woe, woe, woe. What is God saying? I've raised them up to attack you, but now I'm going to destroy them. Okay, well, so the bully comes and hits me with the ruler, and the teacher says, oh, relax, I'll spank him after the class. That doesn't make me feel good. No, I don't want him to slap me with the ruler. Habakkuk is not at peace. He's not at peace. He's heard it, he's listened, but he's not at peace. There's something that is dissonant. There's something that's uncomfortable about this. Now, you know how we say every Sunday morning, look at chapter 2, verse 20, but the Lord is in his holy temple. Have you heard this before? Let all the earth keep silence before him. You've heard that before in this building many times. Babylon worships idols. We come before God quiet. You think of the people that you have a relationship with that you are quiet before. Which people are you quiet before? We come before them and we sit and listen. I don't know, where I live, that isn't normal. What's normal is when you meet someone, talk. I don't know where you live, but that's where we are. Think of a person that you come in the presence of and you say, I will be silent. And I'll wait for that person to speak first. That's hard. Now we come Sunday morning and we're trained. Somebody long ago had a good idea. Hey everybody, when you come to church, as Solomon says, don't give the sacrifice of fools, blabbing. No, keep your mouth. Be quiet. Listen to what God says. And we're trained every week. You come to listen to what God says, because that's what we need. Now, I work with Christians. I work with Christians in church. And you know what Christians feel like? They feel like Job, not in the first 2 chapters, but halfway through the book. Job says, if I could just get in front of God and tell him what I think. That's the people I know. That's the people if I could just tell God what I'm thinking. And what does Habakkuk say? Maybe today is the day to be quiet and just listen. If you don't understand, okay, listen. Talking will not help you understand better. It will not. I've tried it. It's time to be quiet. So chapter 3, Habakkuk gives a prayer. Now this is a stunning, startling, amazing chapter. And I think a lot of people get all caught up in the details and they miss the main point. O Lord, I heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make known. In wrath remember mercy. God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. And his brightness was as the light, and had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. And people raise a hand and say, where's Teman? You've missed the whole point. You've missed the whole point. In these verses, in the first half of chapter 3, there's a description of God. And if I were to stand here for the next hour and explain, Teman is here, and Paran is there, and horns mean this, at the end of the hour, you'd sit there and say, that is boring. How does that help us understand God? But if you'll read the first half of this chapter, just read it. Not to understand every detail, but to get the impact of how Habakkuk describes God. You'll stand back and say, this God is powerful. This God is amazing. This God is beyond what I can even understand. Verse 6, he stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove us under the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered, and the perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thy horses and thy chariots of salvation? Habakkuk is helping us see this is who God is. He's getting a glimpse of God. You are powerful. You are amazing. You are in charge. You have everything under control. And even powerful, eternal mountains tremble. Verse 9, he talks about God's power. Verse 10, he talks about the mountains and their response. Verse 11, the sun and the moon. Verse 12, thou didst march to the land. Verse 13, thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people. This is powerful and strong. And you just keep reading verse after verse after verse. It's amazing how powerfully he describes God. Verse 16, when I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice, rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. Yes, God raises up the Babylonians to attack Judah, but then he raises up others to attack Babylon. God is powerful. God is in charge. God is majestic. Habakkuk trembles, and then he says very simple statements that show us how his thinking has changed from the beginning. Verse 17, although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the fields shall yield no meat, the flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Okay, wait. If just one of these things happened, if 1 year no fig trees produced anything, that would be major in an agricultural society. If everything else was normal, but they had no figs, that'd be bad. If two of these things happened, that'd be a tragedy. But if all of them happened at once, what will you eat for the next year? The same tree, the olive tree that's been there for 1,000 years, has no olives. How can that be? Verse 18, his response is not, we'll make it. You read what it here says. He doesn't say, well, okay, I'll try not to complain. You read what it says. I will rejoice in the Lord. No, wait, Habakkuk, one verse before, you said if we have no figs, no sheep, no cattle, no olives, nothing. I think if you said, well, I won't scream at people, you'd be doing amazingly. But you're saying, I'll rejoice. Habakkuk, go back just to page 1. You were upset. And then chapter 2, you were upset. What changed your mind? He saw God. We as Christians, I firmly believe, you have some problem? You need to get to know God better. There's something you don't understand? It's not the thing that you don't understand. You need to get to know God better. Somebody said one time, in order to make us evangelize, we ought to spend 5 minutes in hell. Then we'd come out ready to evangelize. Okay, some people probably would evangelize more, but I'm going to give you a better solution. If we would spend 5 minutes in heaven, then we would evangelize. Oh, God, this is what you're like. I never knew it. I've been a Christian all these years. I've read through the whole Bible many times. So this is what you're like. And Habakkuk has seen what God is. And I encourage you, when you go home, read chapter 3, the first half. Read that again and again. That's who God is. As a result, he says, even if all these things happen at the same time, I'm going to rejoice. I'm just going to rejoice. I'm just going to rejoice. How can you do that? Why? Verse 19. The Lord God is my strength. Now, today, Christians, it's very popular for people to ask God for strength. God, could you give me strength? God, could you give me wealth? God, could you give me whatever? And you hear the word give. Now, God can do that. But he's not saying give. He's saying God is my strength. I have God. He will make my feet like hinds' feet, and he will make me to walk upon my high places. If you have a chance to visit Taiwan, let me tell you a secret. Don't tell anybody else, please. There's a little island off the coast of Taiwan called Orchid Island. I want you to go there, but nobody else, okay? It's a cute little island. You have to get on a 19-seat airplane to fly there. So not many people can go. And when you get there, the island is shaped very strangely. Around the outside of the island is a road, and then all around, it just rises up like this. And so it's hard to go up that. And so you just stay around the outside. I rented a motorcycle, went around. There's one place where the road crosses, and you can cross there, but you can't go up into the middle of the mountain. And so everything is steep. Everything is steep. It's a small island, and the people raise goats. But they don't have fences. They just let the goats run. There are not many people there, right? There's just you and me and not many other people. And those goats are so much fun. Because they climb up that steep, sheer rock face. They just climb up it. Their feet are very small. My feet are much bigger than theirs. I can stand better than you can. Look at how big my feet are. And the little goat just laughs at me. And with those little tiny feet, he just climbs up and he's up there. Okay, you come after me. I can't. My feet are too big. And so I've seen this. I've not seen this in Israel. I've seen this in Orchid Island. These little goats climb up there. And God is saying to you and me, I'm going to make your feet like that. He didn't say, I'm going to make the mountain into a plain. See, that's what I want God to do. God, here's this problem. Would you change it? Right? Have you prayed like that? And God says, I'm not going to change the problem. I'm going to change you. And we say, how? How? Why? Change the problem. Isn't that easier? If you could see those goats climb up the mountain, you'd say, now I see why God changes the goat and doesn't change the mountain. It's so much fun. Nehemiah 8:10 says, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Forgive me. Listen carefully to what I'm going to say. I think that most Christians I know quote that verse this way. The strength of the Lord is my joy. God, if you give me strength, I will have joy. Isn't that most Christians? God, if you give me wealth, then I will have joy. God, if you change this problem, then I will have joy. You've met Christians like that, right? But see, I read the wrong Bible. My Bible says, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Which comes first, the strength or the joy? I'm just telling you, what I want is the strength first. And then I want joy. And God says, no, that's not how I wrote it. I'm going to give you the joy first. And then since you have that joy, you can face anything. So then I want to ask, wait, the joy in what? I don't have the strength. I don't have the problem solved. What am I supposed to be happy about? Verse 18. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. He didn't say, I will rejoice in the salvation of my God, right? You have to read the Bible as it says it. He didn't say, I will rejoice that God has given me salvation. No, I'm going to rejoice in God. God is my strength. So Habakkuk, he struggles through this, and I love it because the Bible is not just an answer. No, it shows Habakkuk as a real person struggling. My society is a mess. In every country I go to, you know what country they criticize the most? Their own. Oh, the newspaper is full of criticism of their own country. We all think where we live is a mess. And then God says, okay, I'll destroy it. You can't do that. Okay, wait. But I'll destroy those who destroy you. Okay, let me see. How is this going to work? But then God puts him at peace. Not by showing him a picture of what it was like after. No. How does God give him peace? God shows Habakkuk a picture of God. And so we as Christians, our view is not, okay, God, you clean everything up, and then I'll step in. That is not our view. Our view is, okay, God, you hold my hand. It's a mess, but I'm walking in. And this is Habakkuk, a short book, 3 chapters. You can't get lost in it. You have time to read it through again, meditate on this, meditate on that, get into the mind of Habakkuk, wrestle with it yourself, and then come to the end and say, he's not just saying, I'll make it somehow. He says, no, I'm going to make it triumphantly. And We as Christians, I've said this before here, we live propelled by victory. Christ has already won the victory on the cross. So we grab onto that victory and we say, let's go. It's not, I've won the victory. Christ has won the victory, and now we go. I love Habakkuk. I know the Apostle Paul read this book because he quotes it, the just shall live by faith. And that is something that we Protestants talk about all the time, the just shall live by faith, justification by faith, by faith, by faith. We always talk about that. But that doesn't just mean getting saved. It's every day. God said this, okay, on we go. And other people look at us Christians. You know, Taiwan is not a Christian country. It does not have a Christian heritage. And so they look at us and, well, really what you mean is we need to do good, right? Okay, well, it's not that we should do bad. Yeah, we should do good. But no, we are listening to what God has said. So how do we get money? Okay, first you listen to what God said. Okay, so where do we get money? They're not listening. They're not listening. Non-Christians are that way, but you know what else? Christians are that way. Okay, stop. Just stop. Let's just open the Bible and let's just read it and see what it says. Okay, just first read it. Don't agree yet, just read it. I want you to agree with it, but first read it. Make sure you understand it. Okay, now agree. Well, that's too hard to agree. You know why? Because it takes faith. And we don't want to believe God. We want to write a Bible and then say, God, you sign off here. And God says, no. I've written it. You read it. And we say, but that's hard. I never said it was easy. And it's amazing to me over the years, I watch people. They are courageous. They don't demand, God, you have to change my life or I won't be happy. No. They just do what they need to do. And they say, God, this is what you've given me to do today. This is what I will do. Maybe it's taking care of a family member. Maybe it's living with an obnoxious neighbor. Maybe it's a difficult job they can't get out of. Maybe it's in a country where this or that isn't allowed. I don't know. And they say, no, I have God. I'll embrace the rest. And this is Habakkuk. He has joy. He has faith. These are real strong New Testament ideas. And we find them in Habakkuk. So please, my homework is go back home and read Habakkuk. It's not hard. Notice his struggle, but notice his conclusion. I'm going to focus on God. Which is bigger, my thumb or you? Well, if I put my thumb in front of my eye, I can't see you. We as Christians do not deny reality. If there's a problem out there, we say, yes, that's the problem. It's there. But if I look at you, my thumb is small. If I look at my thumb, you become small. If I look at God, everything else becomes small. It's still there. It's still there. Don't say, I'm not saying it goes away. If I focus on the problem, then God looks small. I want to encourage all of you to have a life like Habakkuk. Let's pray together. Oh God, we look at Habakkuk and we praise you for recording his struggle. You didn't give us somebody who just had powerful faith from the beginning. And we thank you that we can learn from him. But we need to learn from you even more. Help us to focus on you. each day, every day. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen.